I'm out to accomplish a lot of things, and I want to have a voice in hip-hop. I want to have a voice. I want to be able to speak and people listen.
He doesn't care what, the new generation thinks of him. He doesn't care what, what he says offends people. It's classic Slim Shady.
Even though Diddy used to have a velvet hand in a diamond glove, he has avoided Eminem's lyrical sniper fire for almost 30 years without ever retaliating. That goes beyond commercial diplomacy or hip-hop etiquette. Fear is that, or possibly, something more sinister, because it's never merely for show when Eminem pulls the trigger. His bars are arrows sprayed with gasoline, tipped with truth, and pointed directly at the secrets that no one else is willing to share. Furthermore, it's beginning to appear that Eminem wasn't dissing, especially because Diddy's corporation is collapsing due to federal investigations, leaked hotel footage, and a flurry of lawsuits. He was cautioning,
and I get to that certain level where I'm gonna be able to speak and people are gonna listen, then I'm gonna tell my side of the story.
The Slim Shady Eminem's latest album was dropped on Friday like a guillotine. Shady's Finnish analogies and Megan Thee Stallion's jokes were also drawing interest. The real bomb was interred in Antichrist's track 8. This is a crime scene, not a song. The man that Eminem has been disparaging since the late 1990s is the subject of this poetic autopsy. Didn't he just mention it? He follows a trail of muttered accusations while dragging the mogul's name, as if he had been holding on to the receipts for decades, waiting for the public to wake up and finally confirm the horrors. Second, Ask Me is experiencing more severe foot pain than Diddy. That is not merely a joke, it's a timestamp, a clear reference to Cassie's now famous 2016 hotel incident. CNN footage of the event only recently came to light. According to the video, she probably ran out the room with his feel less like crass humor and more like a decoded piece of insider knowledge. This is the one that goes too far. We are left wondering how long Eminem has known and why he was the first to make the public announcement because of the level of specificity. The internet went crazy as he went on. He tried to field gold, punt her, but others who were paying close attention didn't, since this wasn't a break in Eminem's protracted battle. It was a recurring pattern. Marshall had previously used Diddy's name in his rhymes, but it was always laden with accusation and shrouded in mockery and plausible deniability. The issue of whether Eminem was telling the truth has been resolved, with Homeland Security conducting raids on Diddy's own homes, a federal human trafficking investigation underway, and lawsuits circling like vultures. He has been suppressing a lot of it.
Named Diddy 77 times in court documents related to Tupac's murder.
Come on back. Do you remember the 2018 Kelly Machine Gun CD? Diddy is carelessly thrown a grenade at the end. The day your popular song is made public, Diddy acknowledges that it was on this day that he released the song that made Shocker famous. That line was rejected as a bluff in a rap war and an aggressive barb. However, Eminem's joke became more dated, almost like a prediction after Dwayne Keith D. Davis was charged with Shocker's 1996 murder and his purported accusation that Diddy paid him $1 million for the killing came to light. The unsettling portion follows. How many previous warnings have we disregarded if we're only now realizing what he stated 7 years ago? Because that's how it's beginning to appear. Eminem is more of a rhythmic walking indictment than a diss track musician. His remarks don't sound offensive anymore. Now that Antichrist has revealed one of the most repulsive unspoken secrets in music, they seem to be proof of the alleged abuse that occurs beneath Diddy's glitzy exterior. There was more than one instance of the lawsuit against Cassie. Diddy is currently the target of 11 lawsuits, ranging from accusations of coercion to outright trafficking. His closest circle vanished like rats from a sinking ship. His homes in Miami and Los Angeles were seized, and his films of remorse were erased. Eminem smirks as he stands in the booth, effectively saying, "I told you so." This how
there's no punishment. They protected by the road to judge.
However, is the true mind bending. According to a former employee of Bad Boy Records, who says they worked closely with Diddy in the early 2000s, Diddy once attempted to pay Eminem to leave. Total control, not only a stop. Beef wasn't supposed to be crushed, silence was. The issue here, he asked Marshall to retract the assertions made by the source. It was a really high number, however, the response was unfavorable. Diddy's team has not responded, and we have not examined that compensation offer. Assuming even half of that is accurate, however, Diddy did not consider Eminem a competitor. He considered him a danger. Usually, money is used to resolve threats of that nature. Marshall, however, doesn't relocate for financial gain. He searches for blood. If Diddy gave Barry more than that, what would happen? Antichrist offers a peek of something greater beneath its gory humor and horrifying images. The Cassie Files, as fans now refer to them, are referenced throughout Eminem's songs. Evidence, testimony, films, and documents are all hidden, away and just waiting to be found. Others think that Eminem obtained them years ago, possibly from a close friend of Cassie's or a former member of Diddy's inner circle. Since then, he has apparently been making references to them in his songs, refuting Diddy's claim that he is bluffing. He never did. Diddy.
People will start to say it's an East Coast, West Coast rivalry because it was people just trying to make money. It was people trying to make careers, people trying to get famous.
For that is the most peculiar thing of all. Diddy, who once planned the dominance of rap on the East Coast, created an empire out of his reputation and influence, and battled Suge Knight in broad daylight, has never answered. Not once, not when Eminem alluded to his shocker affiliation. Not when M made disparaging remarks regarding abuse. Especially when Antichrist has made his name a code word for immorality. Why was there no sound? Is it a plan? Is it embarrassing? Or is Diddy aware that responding would simply lead to an unreachable door? Because a diss track may always be louder than quiet. Furthermore, Eminem is no longer only rhyming, he's recording. In addition, each line delves into a mystery that we are just now starting to unravel. Perhaps that has always been concealed. Eminem has not always been critical of everyone. His predictions have focused on implosions. His melodies jolted the culture like lightning time and time again. As we learn later, the storm had been building for years. In 2018, thought was all over the charts. Machine Gun Kelly was the target of his most famous attack. However, a statement that made everyone tremble was in the last few bars. You release a hit the day Diddy acknowledges that he released. The song that made Pac fall in love with you, it seemed to be nuclear satire at the time. It's beginning to resemble surveillance footage we were unaware we had rather than parody. With court documents connecting Diddy to $1 million bounty and K's own comments haunting the grand jury, Eminem's timing isn't the only factor. This is because it appears that his writings support the fall of the powerful. Slim Shady's passing is a final blow for Sean Combs, who is facing the most dramatic legal reckoning of his career as a result of claims of physical coercion, human trafficking, and years of lying. It's surgical as well as timely. There are no ambiguous analogies in the lyrics. Detailed, accusatory, and unsettlingly consistent with what is being said in courtrooms and lawsuits, they circle like buzzards. You haven't been paying enough attention if you still believe it to be a coincidence. It's not only music, though, it's a map. The
firms on retainer. I don't know how much money is coming in, but I know that a lot of money is going out every single month for Diddy.
The question therefore becomes, just who is Marshall Mathers? A provocateur, yes, but that has never been the general situation. Supporters are starting to question whether anything else is happening. Is Eminem merely a terrific lyricist? Or is he the dark prophet of hip-hop, a one-man, alarm for a dark, covert enterprise? If so, he's shedding light on the situation rather than only responding to it. And it didn't seem like the billionaire was safe either. Thus, we return to Diddy's quiet, Suge who founded Bad Boy Records during a coastal Cold War and based his business empire on power and chutzpah. has publicly clashed with this man. But Diddy disappears while Eminem talks. No answer, no bars, no interviews, not even a cease and desist letter from a lawyer. Nothing. Given how fiercely he used to defend himself against any harm to his reputation, it's almost spooky. Diddy firmly opposed Wendy Williams after she published unflattering rumors in the 2000s. Diddy packed up a freak off in the middle of a session and drove to Mel's Diner like he was invading a battlefield when Suge Knight arrived in Los Angeles. But not even a shadow, not even a murmur. Eminem.
So tell me, man, why do you believe that Jay and Puffy was close, even though Jay Morgan came out and said it?
Because Jay-Z and Puff was giving an aside.
Furthermore, that quiet might be considerably more harmful than anything Slim Shady has ever uttered, since Diddy is aware of how this game works. He has witnessed allegations rise and fall like the value of stocks. He knows when to distract attention, when to litigate, and when to bury a story. But he also knows that Eminem doesn't say anything unless he's ready to defend it in court. Maybe Diddy's silence isn't a sign of cowardice, it might be a calculation. Anyone who is aware that the receipts are genuine and that the reader is already rehearsing the next line may employ this tactic. Suge Knight, the real kicker here, has been screaming about this for years. Although the majority of the industry dismissed Diddy as a relic with a rap sheet, Suge, who is currently in prison for an incident that happened in 2015, has stated on multiple occasions that Diddy's business was built not only on skill, but also on intimidation, manipulation, and a system of enforced silence. In recent podcast interviews while incarcerated, Suge asserted that Diddy used coercion not only in private, but also in club backrooms, boardrooms, and even contract negotiations. The competition was about more than business. Suge asserts that a network of threats, power battles, and carefully muffled voices allowed Bad Boy to thrive while its competitors faded into the background. If so, Eminem's most recent critique of a culture steeped in secrecy goes beyond mocking body slams and deliberate assaults.
Well, this is the thing I'm gonna tell you. We from two different worlds, number one, you and I.
Suge Knight and Eminem haven't always agreed, despite how easy it is to forget. Suge was in power when Eminem became to fame, and his artists never took to the aftermath camp, but lately they seem to have been concentrating on the same topic. Suge asserts that the industry must confront its issues. When Eminem says, "I'm bringing one," when you put the pieces together, their claims of cover-ups, unspoken agreements, and careers built on deciding who gets to talk and who gets blacklisted start to make sense. It's difficult to dismiss this as a coincidence when Suge says that there were threats for speaking out and Eminem raps about hushed victims and dubious money trails. According to Suge's new court documents, Diddy reportedly still possesses sealed depositions and off-the-court accounts that have never been made public. One complaint even referenced missing security film from a 2012 party at a private house owned by a large entertainment company. Suge allegedly tried to use illegal methods to get the video. Reports state that it disappeared during transit between private investigators and legal teams. There have always been rumors about that case. Additionally, others are questioning whether the lost tapes and erased data were meant for a diss track rather than for legal proceedings, given that Eminem is intensifying the debate surrounding Diddy's alleged wrongdoing.
When it comes to rewriting history, it's trying to rewrite history.
Moreover, the chronology is much darker. Before or during Diddy's lawsuit, Eminem employed some of his most deplorable nicknames, including Shot, Fuel, and now Antichrist. He appears to be watching court dockets from the booth, as if he's waiting to see what the attorneys will do. Next, at that level of accuracy, speculation is not reliable. Some industry insiders speculate that Eminem may have sources close to the fire. Former Bad Boy affiliates, legal assistants, and perhaps even resentful singers who have previously signed contracts that choke DNA. Suge is being accused by others, though, of feeding the very monster he once tried to defeat. Eminem's voice is currently being used as a megaphone even though he never possessed one.
I've sold a lot of records and now I've got a lot of money, and I've made a name for myself.
Suganek has claimed to know the site of the symbolic tombs despite his perplexity and contradictions. Books, podcasts, and court transcripts have all featured his frequent comments about parties that ruin careers and rooms people never talk about. We feel as though we are watching the same security film from two different angles because of Eminem's references to freak-offs, covert, transactions, and what he calls the dirt under the diamonds. Eminem claims that both are like wolves that chase Diddy nonstop. Here, ego is no longer the problem, it's related to history. If Suganek really have the final piece of the jigsaw and Eminem keeps dropping clues like breadcrumbs across the forest, the company could be about to fall into a decades-old trap. If Suge's accusations of Diddy's use of coercion, fraud, and fear are even partially true, and Eminem continues to blow things up in his own face, we might not be seeing a career collapse. It might mark the end of a cultural dynasty founded on indisputable principles.
Yes. Yes. He ate every bit of it. I remember one time, he was like, what did you grow up listening to? I'm like, Tupac. I ain't mentioned Biggie. That didn't even talk to me for like 4 fucking days after that. Everything with Pac, like, you couldn't say Pac was anything better than Biggie. You can't put them in the same realm or nothing. It was all about Biggie.
Insiders claim that this worrying existed before 2024. As early as 2006, Diddy was actively lobbying media outlets to hold off on releasing Eminem's most controversial tracks, according to several sources, including former employees and individuals with connections to the New York music industry. According to a former public relations official who spoke on condition of anonymity, we had a blacklist. All of the songs, including Jest, that mentioned Puffy were highlighted. M also told us to never talk about it with anyone. That was long before Cassie, long before lawsuits, and long before government raids. So what did Diddy fear so much? This leads us to the most horrifying of these theories, the Cassie files. The nickname initially surfaced on a fan site late last year, but it gained widespread recognition due to rumors from insiders, podcasters, and to former Bad Boy security contractors who have since relocated overseas. A terrifying rumor claims that years of torture and coercion under Diddy's supervision are revealed by a multitude of classified documents, tapes, and potentially even unredacted testimonies. Both the known and the unknown examples are included. Those who were bought off to keep quiet were never in the headlines. That kind of information, if true, doesn't just wreck a man's career, it blows it apart.
I'm not the guy who's in for Puffy's downfall, but I'm the guy who supports the victims who got victimized. Right?
Eminem comes into play. Again at this point, because some people believe that M, rather than the FBI or the media, obtained these records, which were purportedly made public by someone associated with Cassie's early legal team. Someone who didn't trust the judicial system yet knew that Eminem would never keep his promises. If Marshall truly has access to the dark archive, we won't have to endure pointless jokes any longer. Countdowns are approaching. Each line could trigger a different fuse. Every song alludes to the impending catastrophe. There's a final rumor that keeps us up at night. They'll know it all when the deluxe drops. A former studio engineer claims that Eminem told a producer during the production of Antichrist, a deluxe edition couldn't stand in for a victory lap. However, the exact meaning is still unknown. It could be the trigger.
So they was placed to destroy the East Coast rap. And then along came a somebody that was about to bring East Coast rap back. And there's nothing they could do about it. And this kid was gonna put East Coast.
We are now posing the question that no one is afraid to pose. How long will it take Eminem to reveal the truth if he is aware of it? Will Diddy's empire collapse when he does? There is no doubt about that. Rap is not the only aspect of this dispute, it's a reckoning. And regardless of the blast radius, the curtain will lift when it occurs. Bad Boy. Eminem's calculated lyrical assault on Diddy through Antichrist is not just another round in a rap feud, it's beginning to look more like a form of exposed journalism with rhythm. For years, Eminem has flirted with controversy, lacing verses with innuendo and razor-sharp metaphors. But with his recent release, insiders believe he's shifted gears, moving from cryptic shots to outright indictments. What fans once brushed off as metaphor now echoes like prophecy, especially as legal clouds gather over Diddy, federal investigations, Cassie's lawsuit, and now multiple accusations that span coercion, trafficking, and deeper systemic abuse. All seem to line up with Eminem's lyrics that predated some of the public fallout. The most striking development may be the alleged attempt by Diddy to pay Eminem off, an insider rumor with enormous implications. This isn't about avoiding beef. It's about silencing someone who may be sitting on explosive information. And while Diddy has gone silent, insiders close to Bad Boy Records suggest that Eminem might be in possession of what's now being called the Cassie files, documents, testimonies, and recordings that go beyond public knowledge. If even fragments of that rumor hold water, we could be looking at hip-hop's most consequential whistleblower moment. What makes this even more compelling is that Sugen Nighttan, unlikely ally, has echoed similar allegations from behind bars, lending weight to a theory that both men, once enemies, now aim at a common target. Meanwhile, Eminem's silence between verses is beginning to resemble the pause before detonation. The tease of a deluxe edition of Antichrist has fans and industry veterans alike wondering if the next drop will come with receipts figuratively, or literally, as court documents, interviews, and lyrics seem to converge into a single, shadowy narrative. One thing is clear: this isn't just lyrical warfare. It's a slow unmasking of a cultural dynasty's darkest corners. Eminem, long seen as the jester in hip-hop's chaotic kingdom, may instead be holding the master key to its most guarded secrets. And if so, Diddy's silence may not be fear, maybe strategy, stalling for time in a game that's been unfolding behind the scenes for decades. Whether Eminem is acting on moral instinct, personal vendetta, or something in between, his verses are now being read less like entertainment and more like evidence, every line potentially a breadcrumb to something the industry hoped would stay buried. It has the potential to demolish the entire foundation that has supported the industry for its 30-year history. When the truth is out, nobody will be secure. What do you believe M is actually clinging to? Is it evidence or art?